Before the flood, when God destroyed all but Noah and those who were with him on the ark, there was evil in the land caused by the Nephilim. The Nephilim were giants, and they were evil giants. They worked for Satan. They were evil giants, the Nephilim. In this session, we will learn about these Nephilim, these giants. They are also identified in Genesis as sons of God, but we'll wait for another session to talk about that. In this session, let's just look at the Nephilim, who were giants. They were evil, and it's the reason that God sent the flood was to get rid of these giants. We read in Genesis, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Now, I have highlighted the three key words and terms. We're going to have to take a look at each one. In this session, we're going to talk about the Nephilim. Who were the Nephilim? They were giants. Why were they evil? What is this about the Nephilim? We're going to have to take another session to explain why the Nephilim are called sons of God. And in a third session, we'll talk about how the Nephilim were mighty men. So let's start with the soldiers in Satan's army, and they're represented here by the Nephilim. We read, okay, this is what we just read here. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards. Who are these Nephilim? Well, we go back to the story of the children of Israel who had left Egypt during the Exodus. They were in the wilderness wandering, and Moses was preparing to go into the promised land. So he got 12 spies, one from each of the 12 tribes, to go into the land. They came back. 10 of them were frightened, absolutely frightened to death, and they said, well, there's no way we can go into this land. 2 of them said, we believe that God, if God says we can go, we can go. Now look at the report of the ones that were frightened. The land through which we have gone in spying it out is a land that devours its inhabitants. In Hebrew, it eats its inhabitants. It eats them up. It devours them. It eats them up. And all the people whom we saw are men of size. Now, great is in italics. Every time you see italics, it means that the editors have added it to help us understand. But I always tell people to get rid of it and just go back and read the original was, they are men of size. Yes, it meant great size. They were men of size because look what follows. There also, we saw the Nephilim. And then in the Bible, it puts in parentheses, the sons of Anak are part of the Nephilim. Now, who are the Nephilim? These people, the 10 from the tribes who were so frightened, they said, we became like grasshoppers in our own sight. In other words, these Nephilim were so huge that they were like grasshoppers jumping around trying to get out of the way of these huge, giant Nephilim. And so we were in their sight. Now, let's look a little more closely at the men of size, okay? We have, all right, the land through which we have gone in spying it out is a land that devours its inhabitants. These are men of great size. All right, the word for talking about the measurement, all right, is midah, and it's used just for measuring things. Now, one of the places where it's used for measuring is Goliath. It refers to Goliath as this measurement of Goliath. So the men of great size, the people who heard this, it would have echoed Goliath in their minds. And Goliath was descended from the Nephilim, from these giants. He was a giant also. It says that he was 6 cubits and a span. And now the ancient cubit has a span is your hand, but the cubit, there's 2 different possibilities. But he was approximately 9 feet 9 inches tall. He was almost 10 feet tall. And that was Goliath, who was one of these giants. He was descended from the Nephilim, one of these giants. And the spies saw these giants, and they call them Nephilim. Now, these giants are the ones that are going to be in Satan's army. So we're going to return in the next session to these Nephilim, these giants. But the giants are also called sons of God. Why are they called sons of God? I thought I was a son of God. You know, as a believer in Christ, I belong to God, to his family. I thought I was a son of God. Why would the army of Satan be called sons of God? We're going to have to wait till the next session to answer that question.